Instagram Live. I haven't been live in a long time. It's been way too long. Wearing my Israel baseball hat today. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. Hudson, what's up, kid? We got a great guest on today. What's going on, man? It's been a long time. Carly. She's fantastic. Great golf coach. And I know her boyfriend very well. And Johnny, Coach Johnny, what's up, Coach? I owe you a lot of content. It's coming. I'm putting a whole compilation of things together, and you will have it 100%. Yeah, Carly, maybe you can help me with my swing. I hook a lot of balls to the left, like a lot of other golfers, but I'd love to get your input. Be terrific. Carly, you're going to like this guest. I think that very similar to you. Softball coach. Nino Nation. I know this person. Great person. One of my best friends, actually. Cole. What's up, man? You still doing Fury? Send me a text. Kyle. Well, anyway, listen, we're going to have a great guest on today. Coach Ashely. She's a phenomenal she's one of the best softball coaches I've ever seen, actually. I mean, I'm not just throwing that out there, but she is fantastic. So, Bradley Heller. Hope you're feeling okay. He's one of our guys at Just in Time Baseball. Right. All right, she's about to come in. The subject today is going to be parent coaches. And, you know, I'm going to post this later. And anyone that has any other questions, I'd love to hear from you. Further ado, we're going to hear from Ashely. She'll be in here any second, I'm assuming.
Wrong one.
I see a great window over here.
Thanks. That's my office view.
That's a nice, there we go.
Hey, dude.
How are you?
I'm great. It's Masters week. I'm great. Like, so great.
I love it.
How are you?
I'm great. Speaking of the Masters, Carly, who, by the way, is like your doppelganger. You should follow her, Carly Golf. I was just thinking that you're like, literally, you two are like twins, actually.
Carly, what did you say your last name is?
Carly P. Golf. She's like a great golf coach to follow. And she's actually dating one of my best friends, Dylan.
Oh,
who's a professional golfer. But anyway, you two are doppelgangers, and she's on here just saying hello. How you doing,
I
Coach?
just saw her. I just found her. Hi, Carly.
Everyone's loving your hat, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
I'm rocking the Israel hat right now. Go ahead.
I like that. Fun fact, so my boyfriend and I were supposed to be at the Masters this year. So, like, we were supposed to go on Monday, and then because of COVID, they're still going to honor our tickets for next year because they're not having patrons.
Sweet.
But they did send us a link to be able to order stuff. So I don't know if people know this, but like you only get Masters gear if you're at the Masters. Like you can't just you can't just like go online and buy Masters stuff. Like it has to come like straight from the event. But because there were no patrons, they emailed us and were like, hey, like here's some garb if you want to buy some. So we may or may not have dropped hundreds of dollars on some new gear.
Why not? Why not?
I got a beanie. I'm so excited. We get it tomorrow. We get all of our stuff tomorrow. So
that is a fresh hat, though. I didn't realize that that's the case to buy gear. I didn't realize that's the case.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Like I've never been there, but my boyfriend was there. He played college golf, and they did they watched the practice round.
Sweet.
1 year. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's awesome. No, that's great. You got to follow Carly. She's literally your doppelganger. I don't know if she's.
I'm going to. I just wrote it down. Like as soon as this is over, I see her.
And I feel like you're a golfer, by the way. You definitely play a little golf.
I do. I try to play golf. I think so. When I first started playing, I shanked everything. Like nothing went into the fairway. But now I'm actually able to straighten the ball out a little bit. So that's my big 2020 win.
That's better than a lot of people, let me tell you. And we're both lefties, so we're both lefty golfers. So if you're ever in New York, you'll come down, you'll play golf. Bring your bring your crew.
Yeah, well, I actually golf right-handed.
No way. Really?
Yeah. So I hit in softball, I hit left-handed, but my boyfriend, he has all these clubs and he's right-handed. And when I was 12, like that was when I moved to the left side. So it's not like I didn't know how to hit right-handed. So I kind of just like decided to go with muscle memory, and now I'm hitting right-handed.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
Carly's saying that we're both rotational sports so similar. That's so true.
Carly, you and her are doppelgangers. You and Ashely are literally like so, you two look so similar. It's crazy, actually, now that I think about it. Just random. Anyway, go ahead.
That's so funny. No, I think so. I have a strength and conditioning background, and so I used to develop plans for different athletes. I know muscles like crazy. It's kind of weird how much anatomy I know. But Carly's so right. Like when you give like golfers and softball and baseball players workout plans, they're so similar because there's a lot of rotation going on. And I think for anybody that's wanting to get some more rotational strength, they always say like, because you're always swinging one way, like you have to rotate to the other side or your body's going to be so confused. Like I can tell you as a lefty hitter, like I'm so used to going left, so that when I golfed right-handed, it actually felt amazing because my body wasn't used to going that way, and it was like it's almost like I'm evening out my body. Right. So yeah, I always thought that was interesting. Like when you do these programs to gain strength, like you don't want to just go one way and call it a day. Like you need to go opposite. Just like when you do strength training on your arms, like you're always throwing. For me, I'm right-handed. My left arm needs some love, like because I'm not using it to throw as much. So like I try to either add more reps on this side or add maybe a little more weight or just whatever, just to try to like even out my body. Because the more you know yourself and the more you can just try to even it out, gain strength, and try to just holistically become a better athlete. Like that stuff's important, and I think it's overlooked.
So both our friend, who I've known for years, I used to do hitting lessons with him as a kid, Fasami. I don't know if you knew that. So he used to preach that a lot. He'd be like, all right, Justin, go hit righty. Even though I'm a lefty. It's like, go hit righty. To even it out and to feel how the body works on the other end as well. It kind of evens itself out. So that's interesting that you also said that.
Yeah.
So that's
it's just something I learned in school. It just makes sense, No,
it's great. It's great. Mm-hmm. So I'm having you on, and I'm so glad you're on because I think you and I are very similar. We're very feel oriented and motivational as far as we do our best to be motivational, but we also are I would say in the realm of teaching parents how to coach. I mean, that's something that I do. Like I'll go into other places in where I live, and they'll bring me in to literally speak to hundreds of parents to teach them how to coach their kids. So I am not as savvy. Oh, Coach David Ring is top notch in here right now.
Hey, David.
He's fantastic. I don't know if you follow him. He's one of the best, like you. But basically, I'd love to get your thoughts on like what are some things you're going to tell some parent coaches, and this applies to not just parent coaches, but to anyone. Like, are you tell me some things that you're doing to help parent coaches and teaching them how to hit, meaning how to teach parents how to teach their kids, and if they're running like softball teams, is that stuff you do, correct? And I just jumped all over the place.
I think so. I just launched a podcast for parents mostly parents, because I know there's a lot of parent coaches out there. But a lot of coaches are also listening because they're getting a lot of, they're learning a lot about the athlete more than probably any other platform. So I try to keep it real. I try to interview, professional athletes, D1 athletes, All-Americans. And what I try to emphasize is like, okay, like what was your journey like growing up? And a lot of them had like parent coaches, like their dad coached them.
They all did.
And my dad coached me.
Yeah.
And so my dad coached me, and he's still probably my favorite coach I've ever had. And I could say that confidently because it wasn't about him,
That's about, yeah.
Right. And I think that when I notice and I look at the outside world and I look at, coaches out there, sometimes I see like it becomes more about the coach rather than the individual players themselves. And so I try to teach that empathy is the number one thing as a coach. Like, you need to be able to relate to your athletes. And if they're, goofing off at practice or telling jokes or things like that, that might be how their athlete actually focuses. And I'm not saying that they're not like doing the reps. Like, if they're not doing the reps they're supposed to be doing and they're like goofing off and like not doing what they're supposed to do, yeah, like you're supposed to get on them for that. But like, if it looks like they're having fun on the side, like that's because those are girls being girls. And I know like guys, they probably have like talk that they have like together. I mean, I never played baseball for a second. But I think it's important to like understand that athletes are there to have fun, and you need to be able to understand your athletes themselves in order to get the most out of them. So if you go into a practice with like this specific game plan, you're like, boom, 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 we're going to do all this, and you're not actually getting your athletes engaged, then you're not going to get the best out of your athletes. Like, they're not going to be able to perform at their best. They're not going to want to be out there as bad as a coach who, maybe has a structured practice in mind, but like is willing to deviate from that if their athletes aren't seeing, if they're not being productive, or if you don't feel like they're actually enjoying this work that they're doing.
What are some tips you would tell a softball parent coach to get more engagement, and they know nothing about softball? What are some tips you would tell a parent coach to get more, to keep a practice more fun? Meaning, because I'll tell you, I'll walk into a practice and they're like, I don't know what to do, Coach Justin. They're kicking dirt. I'm like, you know what? That's not their fault. Just like you said, that's actually your fault, not their fault, that they're being kids. So you have to break it up as far as like into stations or groups. What are some tips you would give a parent coach to keep it more engaging?
Honestly, keep it fun. Like, in my opinion, I think competitions are the best thing ever. Like,
I agree.
If I feel like I'm losing a group, which, I mean, it happens, like even for the best coaches out there, like you're not always going to have full focus and full attention. But my go-to when I feel like maybe I'm losing a little bit of them, it's like, all right, we're going to do a competition. And honestly, sometimes it has something to do with softball and sometimes it doesn't. Like, we do this like at almost every single like youth camp that I have. We do literally a rock, paper, scissors around the bases. So basically at every single base, you have to win a rock, paper, scissors versus the team in order to move on. So it's like the first one to get to home. So you'd have to win 4 games in order to be the first to score. So it's cool. Like that type of competitiveness. Like, sure, like they're sprinting to each bag, but it really doesn't have anything to do with softball, but it does have to do with like your competitive edge. And I think that when it comes down to it, it's the biggest competitors. It's the ones that are willing to do whatever it takes to win that are going to be successful in the game. So finding a way to just create some sort of a competition. Maybe it's tag and you get the entire outfield to play tag. Maybe it's, what's capture the flag. Like, that's another fun game. Like, these are games, again, that have like nothing to do with the sport. It's just about creating athletes that love to compete. So that would be my biggest tip, is just find some sort of games that can get them excited, get them, moving. Like, you don't want to do, I would say if you don't have engagement, now's not the time for a journaling session, because they need to actually get up and get moving. So if there's ever a lull, a lot of times if you get them moving, get them sprinting, get them running, like they're going to have more energy and they're going to probably be more engaged with whatever you give them after that.
You're spot on. I say to every parent, it's like, you don't have to know much. You just have to make sure that they're engaged and they have some principles behind it. So I love the idea of like tag. I think that's brilliant. Simple, but a lot of coaches will not do that. Parent coaches will not do that. But I also think it's unacceptable. And I say this to parents sometimes. It's unacceptable to not reach out to someone like you or someone like me. Well, if you're taking on that role of a parent coach, it is your it's your responsibility to dive in and to reach out to people that have experience. I think now more than ever, I really think it's actually unacceptable to not do that. I don't know if you agree with that one.
Right. I mean, I think it's just a matter of just wanting more. So a lot of times I think what gets parents and coaches a little bit away from what they should be doing is like they're not willing to learn more. You know, like some people are like, oh no, like I'm sticking to my ways. This is how I was taught, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
I did it. My
Like
dad did it in the 50s. It's like, all right, but
yeah, exactly. So like if you're not willing to research and to maybe be wrong on a couple things, like you're not going to be the best coach that you can be for your athletes. And so, and same thing with parents. Like, so I can tell you that growing up, my dad and we probably spent like, I would say a couple hours a week watching YouTube videos, like learning how to become a better pitcher, learning, you know, some infield drills. Like we used to watch Mike Candrea's infield drills that he used to do for Team USA.
sure.
We literally like watch those on repeat. And that's what we would do like for that week of practice. So like my dad, this is why he's my favorite coach of all time. He was always willing to learn. He was always willing to, you know, find answers. And, you know, back then you didn't have access to coaches like we do now. Like the fact that you and I are having this conversation, this would have never been thought about 5 years ago. Even 10 years ago. So it's like, it's crazy to think about the access that people have to stuff, which is why I literally built this podcast, because all you have to do is, you know, have Spotify, put in your headphones, you're going to learn about the game.
I may get a slot there, by the way, 2021, maybe 2022.
Yeah, we got to figure out what we're going to talk about. Let's do it. But coaches. I think that it's never been easier to learn. And I think that
inexcusable.
Right. So I mean, that's what I try to do. Like, I'm not here to flaunt my skills. My job here right now in this world in 2020 is to give as much as I possibly can. Give all the knowledge that I know so that someone who needs a specific thing can have the answers. And so I think that's why we're having this live today, so we can help people get answers on those type of questions.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everything's about giving. And I'll try. I mean, you do a phenomenal job on social media, and that's something I really want to learn from you, because I have the ammunition as far as like what to say to these parents, but I think it's got to get out there more. It's beautiful. It's like a great thing to use. So like when someone is teaching pitching in softball, because I know as much as this couch about softball pitching, what would the first thing you would tell a parent coach about softball pitching? What do you do? I'm a dad. I'm an accountant. I just get off the train every week, once a week, to just help out. My tie's halfway done. I just want to help out my, you know, softball team. What would you tell a 9-year-old girl how to start pitching, how to learn how to pitch in softball?
YouTube.
What would you do?
Go to YouTube. So I was.
Most people don't know that, though. It's funny. Most people just don't do that.
I want to say I was probably like 11 or 12 when I started pitching. And I will tell you, I didn't want to be a pitcher, but my team didn't have one. And I was like, well, I want to win, so give me the ball. Like, so it was one of those where my dad and I were just like, all right, we have no idea how to do this, so let's go. But I will tell you that there are some amazing resources on Instagram. If someone's like listening to this right now, go follow Amanda Scarborough. Amanda Scarborough, I think her handle on Instagram is called Pitching Angel. So she's in it like us. Like, she is giving all of the things that she learned. She was an All-American at Texas A&M. By the way, she's only like 5'3", and she was an All-American pitcher. So like, those people that think that you have to be 6 foot to be a great pitcher is a lie. Amanda was incredible. Nairi White is also one of those. I think her company is called Brick Wall Softball. Like, incredible content. She keeps it real. She is not going to fluff anything. She is like, if you want to be good at this drop ball, this is what you have to do. And she's very, like, she is on her athletes, and I love it. It's incredible. And then my girl, Amanda Schaefer, who runs Fearless Fast Pitch, she's got incredible content as well. And what's amazing about her stuff is the majority of her content is actually between the years. So coming from a college pitcher, yeah. So like, when you think about some of the hardest positions on the field, like the pitcher is probably one of the main ones, simply because the ball is always in your hands. There's probably a lot more pressure on you than most other defenders. And so she actually breaks down the mental game incredibly. And she gives skills on how to just truly be in sync with your physical skills and your mental skills as well. So those, I mean, I would say go there first, because if you follow those people, they also follow other pitching coaches out there too. So like, you're just going to find your tribe by following people like that. And I would say just like, don't stop researching, like keep looking at their content, because they all have stuff that can help everyone.
I love it. It's gold. I got to follow her.
And then YouTube. Like I say YouTube because that's how I learned how to pitch with Dad. But and probably half of the YouTube videos I was watching was just awful content. But I learned the basics. And like when you're learning something for the first time, it's not about throwing a rise ball on the first day. It's about understanding your body. And honestly, just if you can learn the basic fundamentals, and YouTube has that. YouTube has more than enough stuff. Amanda Scarborough has her own YouTube channel, like that she did, I think 5 years ago developed, and she has like millions of views. So like, it's just being willing to just research and understand that like, this is square one. You're not trying to strike people out yet. You're just literally trying to understand the fundamentals and how to feel, you know, a good fastball. Learn the fastball before anything. If you can start locating your fastball, then move to other pitches. Like don't try to go for a rise ball your first year.
I like that. I like that. Last thing, what are 3 principles to take into a parent coach run practice? What are 3 principles? I'm a parent coach. What are 3 principles I should take in to that practice? Doesn't have to be softball or baseball drills. Like what are 3 things I need to get done in your
base running? Base running is going to be the first thing that I'm going to say, because it's the most underutilized thing that people don't think they need it in practice. Well, don't expect to win those games that are tight if you don't have smart base runners. I will tell you, base running, just like everything, right? Like people are like, defense wins games, the pitcher wins games. I'm like, dude, someone who's smart on the bases will score you more runs than you realize.
Look
and
at
if you
Daniel
can create
Murphy.
a team,
Daniel Murphy. Do you know Daniel Murphy?
Yeah.
Slow. Okay, he's slow. Rakes, by the way, lefty hitter in baseball. Horrible speed, phenomenal base runner.
Because he's smart.
Underrated fact, but the point is, yeah, go ahead. That's because he's smart. He knows what he's doing on the bases.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I always talk about this. My catcher in college, Danielle Fletcher, you don't look at her and say she's going to steal, but she had probably more stolen bases than over half of our team, simply just because she was smart. Like, it's not about speed. It's simply, well, yes, I think everybody should learn how to run. When I figured that out in high school, that's when being smart and being fast, like, I did some crazy stuff. Like I broke a record at Purdue for base stealing because of those 2 elements that I had. But just be smart. And honestly, in practice, it's not just like, oh, well, how do I do base running? Just have people on bases while you're doing some live front toss. Like have them just read balls off the bat and jump off of the hit. You know, it's about reading the bat angle. If you know that the angle of the bat is approaching the ball this way, like you know it's going in the ground. So that means you can get an early first step. You know, it's just like simple things like that. You know, one of the things that I love to do at second base was I love to see the pitch from the pitcher and see if the ball looked from second base like it was going into the ground. I took a first step and went to third. Like no doubt in my mind, if I saw it was going in the ground, I was going to third. And I will tell you, probably 9.5 times out of 10, I was safe. So that's a bet that I'm willing to take. That's a risk that I'm willing to take because that's something that I looked for, you know, and most people don't look for that because they're not exposed to it. So first fundamental, I would say always implement in practice is base running. In college, we were probably the best base running team in the Big Ten. And we spent 15 minutes at the beginning of every practice working on base running. So it makes sense why we were that good, you know? So like 10, 15 minutes of practice, throw in some base running, add base running to, you know, like a live front toss or something, and you're going to see your base running is going to improve. It's really that simple.
It also keeps more kids. I mean, I look at it this way, not necessarily learning the fundamentals. Like obviously they're going to learn the base running fundamentals, but from a parent coach, the big picture is more kids are involved. That's what I see.
Yeah. When
you see a base running drill, you could have 2 girls at first, 2 girls at second, 2 girls at third. That's 6 kids right there. If you have a 12-person team, you know what I mean? So I think big picture, to me, that's as or more important than actually learning the base running, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking
Absolutely.
parent coach here. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
that's a great point. Yeah, go. And what would you say two other ones would be?
So this is something that I'm huge on, and I wasn't huge on it until later in my career, which I wish I would have been on earlier, but it's just a simple, good journaling session.
You're
And this
big
is
into
something that I
that.
like to do.
You love
Yeah.
that.
So I would say, at the beginning of practice, at least speak about what the intentions are. Like if you say at the beginning of practice, hey, our intention today is to get 1% better and do, a lot of people like the one more mentality. Like maybe your intention for the day is one more. So like when I say 5 reps, it really means 6. Or when I say 5 line drives in a row, it really means 6. Like finding that one more mentality, some sort of, intention of the day, like focus of the day is important for a coach to explain. Because if you're just going to go into practice and you're just going to be like, oh, I'm just here to do the reps that coach tells me, you're not going to get as much better as if you were like, oh no, we're reminded that our focus is to win a championship at the end of the summer. So that means that we're going to have to give everything that we have in order to make the most of this practice. So just finding your intention for the day is a good way. And I would say if they have journals, like have them write the intention, because it's like 70, I think this is the stat, you're 70% more likely to remember something when you write it down. And so if you want to remind yourself that you're practicing today for a championship in a few months, like that will make your practice and like the intention of the practice so much better.
I love it.
So a journaling session, I would say at the beginning, just write down your intentions of the day. The coach can lead that conversation, but also just reminding your team of what their goals are every single practice. You can't say it enough. And then at the end of the day, I think just reflecting on, what percentage do you feel like, how much better you feel like you got? Or what were 3 amazing things that you did today at practice that you feel like you got better at? And then maybe follow it up with, hey, what's something that I didn't do great at today that I'm going to make sure that I focus on this week? So next practice, I'm better at it.
Love it.
So these are just like simple journaling sessions. And again, write it down. It's more likely to stick. You're gaining confidence in your words and in your thoughts by getting those thoughts down on paper. So I would say journaling would be something that if you're running a practice, no matter the age, like have them instill these practices, because then they can start physically seeing how they're getting better. Like a year from now, seeing that your journal entry from last year, you struggled with base running and now you're phenomenal at it. Like it's probably because you've been working on it and writing that down and focusing on it.
Excellent points. Excellent points. Is there anything you'd love to plug before we wrap this thing up? Because I think
Well, you
did a
asked
great
for
job.
3 things and I've only given you 2.
Oh, I thought that was like 3.7, but I love the finale of the third.
3.7, I know.
Yeah.
But one thing that I will say, and I'll keep it short for the third thing,
There's no
is
rush.
like I said before, add some sort of a competition.
Right.
Like always. Like I don't end a lesson that I do with an athlete without doing some sort of a competition. Like either they're trying to beat the clock on hitting line drives, or I'm physically going through a drill with them and like I'm competing against her. Like that's one of my favorite things to do. Or if it's a lesson with somebody else, they're always competing. So just finding a way to get them to compete in some sort of a, simple competition, whatever competition, honestly, like just try a bunch of different ones and you'll be able to see which ones they love, get them hyped up. I like to end with a competition because it gets their spirits up and they're like,
totally.
And if they lose, they're like, oh, I'm winning next week. Like
totally
competitive.
I think that's more as like teaching the fundamentals is more our duty as professional coaches. For a parent coach, it's keeping it fun and competitive. I think that's the big picture.
Yeah. I think in every practice, you got to do the mechanics, right? Like you have to start with T-work in order to get the muscle memory going. There's so many other things I would implement, but you're right. I think parents need to just feel like just not be overwhelmed by all the things that they have to teach. Like find one intention for the day and just focus on that. Keep it simple. And then, you'll be able to see what it is that they need to work on. And that can be your intention for the next practice.
That's great. I agree 100%. And I will be plugging something as we speak right now, but I will be doing a virtual coaches conference for all my parents.
Wow.
And I'd love for you to give a spiel. I don't know if that's a New York term, But
No, I say spiel all the time. Are you kidding me?
I'd love for you to give like a 10-minute lecture and zoom in, because it's going to be a Zoom lecture. So
Okay, what day is it?
I have a lot of demand to fill it. So it's probably going to be in late January. I see Anthony will probably be there, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so, I think it'd be great if you gave some, a 10-minute lecture, softball parent coaching. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. Just let me know the date and we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. And if I can't be there, I'll just do a recording and send it to you. How about that?
Sounds fantastic. Anyway, one day next year, maybe May of 2021, I feel like I'm booking a bar mitzvah. Maybe I'll come in and be there on your podcast.
Yeah, May of 2021. Is that what you said?
You have any openings, or you have?
Honestly, yeah. So like what I've done,
great.
and I don't know if this is how you're supposed to podcast, but I have like 12 podcast interviews that I've already done that I haven't aired yet.
No, there's no recipe.
Like I'm just like flying through them, but yeah, it's been so fun. You'll be on. Like it's just a matter of time.
I'm totally joking, and I'm happy for you.
You're not joking. Are you kidding? You're totally trying to get on.
No. Oh, I'm totally trying to get on 100%. But like, I'm glad you're so busy. I'm glad. I genuinely am glad. That's fantastic. So,
Thanks. I'm having a blast with this thing.
You're very passionate.
Thank you.
That's what I like about you. So.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been fun.
You do it for the right reasons, for sure. So. And
honestly, who knows? Maybe we can just repurpose this, and this will be our podcast episode. Like it seriously, like the whole point of the podcast is just to be real, like have real conversation. Like honestly, I don't prep any of my interviewers with any questions, because I'm like, half the questions I come up with we don't even get to because we talk about something else, right?
Right.
Like when we went on the tangent about base running, like that probably wasn't intended, but like here we are.
Totally.
Spitting fire.
Totally. I did try to kind of sound, I kind of tried to sound like Johnny Carson here. I had a couple questions, but I think it's better when it's just a conversation. Yeah, no, for sure. And I thought your questions were really good because you're thinking in the mind of your parents that are coaching. That's what it's all about, right? I mean, because without them, I just did an interview yesterday with Coach Juan. Do you know him? I don't know if you know him. I'm not sure. He's got a lot of followers. He's got like 10,000 followers, big YouTube channel. But I had him down here to do a clinic from Boston. Bottom line is I just did a whole spiel on parent coaching, so I'm kind of going on the rhythm here. And I was saying, like, parent coaches are the underbelly of youth baseball and softball. And we need them. We can't just be like, no parents. No, we need them involved. Oh, for sure. And we need to it's our job to intertwine and give them the principles to help them run a practice, to help them organize their team, how to make a lineup, how to get every kid involved. It's crazy how a lot of parents don't get it. And I think people like us, it's important, to implement that because we need parents in youth sports. Oh, for sure. And that's the thing too. It's like, there's so many parents out there and coaches out there that don't realize that you make or break an athlete's career. Exactly. Like I had basketball coaches that made me hate the sport, even though I loved basketball. And the reason why I stopped playing was because of my coaches. So it's really interesting to kind of think about, it's a lot of pressure also. But again, we talked about, how to keep it fun. Your job, so Sue Inquist on my podcast said this. Sue Inquist is like legendary GOAT. Like if you play softball, you need to know who Sue is. She has won multiple national titles at UCLA. But she said your job as a youth coach is to make sure that they sign up next year. Like make sure they love it so that they can sign up next year. Now, when they get older, like you realize things are different. Like these girls have bigger goals than just to have fun. But like if you're in that realm where it's fun, your job is to make sure that they can sign up next year, that they want to sign up next year. Totally. So it's like just giving them an experience. Absolutely. We'll talk more about it. I know we will. Yeah, let's do it. Coach, thank you very much for your time. And where can people find you? They can follow me at ashleybtraining.com or Ashely B Training. My website is also www.ashleybtraining.com. But if you're interested in the podcast, just go to my Instagram handle, the link in my bio. You can see, all the ways you can follow. But
I hope that people got value out of this conversation because I had fun. This was awesome.
We'll do it again. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Love it.
Happy Masters Week.